The founder of analytical psychology, love this guy. His name's Carl Jung. And he said, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. And the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. And this is so true. We have to have that contrast. That's what we signed up for in life. And that contrast is what allows those bright moments to be so bright to their full potential. And learning from those dark moments allows us to experience to an even greater degree those bright moments. Welcome to Becoming Tantalum with me, Megan Bennell. Discover your brightest self in a journey of transformation and resilience. Let's embark on this path together, starting now. Hello, and welcome back to Becoming Tantalum. I am your host, Megan Bennell, your trusty life coach, and we are in the middle of a series talking about the most common and I would say transformational tools and concepts that I use with my clients. And so I hope you are ready for this. Today, we are going to be talking about life being 50-50. Go ahead and grab your favorite drink, get comfy, whatever you're doing. If you're driving, make sure you're listening, but staying safe, and let's get real with this. Before we dive into this week's 50-50 concept, I want to quickly review the first concept that we covered a couple of episodes ago. So in episode 24, we talked about the fact that your self-image is really the foundation to you creating any sort of transformation in your life. So creating that life that you love, that you feel good about, that you look forward to, and is nothing short of amazing. And there's a lot of work involved in here. So I gave you some simple steps that you can take. So if you didn't listen to that episode, go back, episode 24. That work that you'll put in is 100% worth it. If you don't love yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, if you're not your own biggest fan, then the rest of the tools that we're going to be covering, you'll never be able to apply to their full potential. For most of us, the problem with our self-image is that constant negative chatter in our brain. It's that subconscious self-sabotage that we do. And so I would like to encourage you, again, to do a little bit of self-reflection and a self-check on your own self-image. If you aren't your own obnoxious cheerleader, then I'd like to offer that putting in the work to make that the case is your first step to whatever amazing transformation you want to make in your life. So if you need help, always, please reach out. I would love to talk to you. I can help you and get that self-image up to where it's shining bright like a diamond, right? Okay, so let's move into understanding this 50-50 concept. I'm going to start with a really bold statement. Life is 50-50. That's right. It's half positive, it's half negative. And that applies to emotions and circumstances and pretty much everything else. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Megan, shouldn't we aim to be happy all the time? Well, as nice of a thought as that is, it's not realistic and it's not even desirable. And we'll jump into why that's the case. But I would like to even offer that having that expectation is dangerous. It causes you or it gives you a risk of not being able to feel better or love your life or make those changes that you want to make. And so we want to remove that danger, remove that risk by changing your expectation on life in general. So you know me, before we dive too deep into this, I need to give you a little bit of science. So, there is research in positive psychology that suggests that trying to be happy all the time can actually backfire on you and can lead to more dissatisfaction, robbing you of the joy of the good moments that you could be having. So, according to Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, so she's a leading researcher in the positive psychology field. She says that experiencing a range of emotions, both positive and negative, is essential for psychological resilience and well being. And the key, this is my favorite part, the key is to accept the negative emotions instead of resisting them. And if I had a penny for every time I talked about accepting emotions instead of resisting them, I would be like a billionaire, I think. So I want to say that part again. The key is to accept the negative emotions, not resist them. And this should be true of all emotions, really. So we'll talk about that and really diving into how to feel emotions and how to accept all emotions, the how behind that. We'll do that in a few episodes. But That is the definition of self confidence. So, for those of you out there that feel like you don't have the amount of self confidence that you want to have, really, self confidence just comes from being willing to feel, willing to accept any emotion, any circumstance, knowing that you can feel them, knowing that you can get through it, and that you are willing to do that. That really is where self confidence comes from. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit in this and then a little bit in that emotional episode that we have coming up. But why it's so important here is that if we have the expectation that life is glorious and that it should be glorious all the time, if it isn't, then, because it's not going to be, we make that mean that we're doing something wrong. So we're not experiencing happiness 100% of the time. So obviously, we are doing something wrong. Our life must suck. Everybody else has it figured it out, and we don't. But that is what we need to change, because the goal of having a life that's glorious 100% of the time is not doable, unrealistic, and will lead back to you feeling like something is going wrong. And I'd like to offer that nothing is going wrong. It's just not real. What you need to do is check in with yourself for a moment and find out if deep down, do you believe that? That you should be happy all the time, that life should be glorious all the time? Because if so, that needs to change. If you don't expect that there's going to be cloudy days in life, if you will, and you think something's wrong when they arrive, my friend, resetting that expectation is going to change so much for you. So, the hard truth, again, is that life is 50-50, and that rings true for everything. So, 50% of the time, you'll be in glorious circumstances, right? And 50% of the time, you'll be in really sucky ones. And 50% of the time, you'll be experiencing amazing feel good emotions. And 50% of the time, you're going to be experiencing those sucky negative emotions that are hard and that you don't want to. But the key is to accept them all and to not resist any of them. So if you're anything like me, this was me a few years ago, you're questioning if that's true. You're wondering why these negative circumstances have to be, why these negative emotions are necessary. And if you can manage your mind properly, then shouldn't you be able to just have everything be rainbows and unicorns and butterflies, right? But no, because think of what happens in life, like just life. People pass, plans get canceled, relationships don't work, right? And so much more. All of those are negative. That's that 50% negative. You don't want to be dancing and singing like a rock star at a funeral. That's not what you want. You want to feel those negative emotions, right? And you don't want to be elated that your 5-year relationship just ended. You don't want to be stoked out of your mind that plans that you were looking forward to for weeks just got canceled, right? Those aren't the emotions that you want to have. They don't match those circumstances. You want to feel grief and loss and bummed and hurt and sad and all of those things and so much more. But the opposite is also true. So you land that job that you've been trying to get for so long, right? Or you move into a house that you absolutely love. You meet the new love of your life, right? Your best friend is visiting from out of town. You want to feel excited and full of joy and proud and infatuated, all of those things, because that's what matches those circumstances. And here's the deal: if you think something's gone wrong when your circumstances aren't ideal or when your emotions are hard and sucky, you're going to spend so much of your energy resisting what is, just facts, wishing they'd be different, hiding from those tough emotions that you don't think that you should be feeling. And not only does it make it more difficult for you to go through those hard times, but it robs you of enjoying to the max the glorious times. And so we want to make sure that we are expecting that life is going to be 50-50. So we're not resisting it, but rather accepting it. So if you switch your expectation of life and expect that there's going to be good and there's going to be bad, and know that you can feel every emotion that accompanies those circumstances and want to experience all of the emotions that are accompanying those experiences, that is the key. So here's the important thing: nothing's gone wrong because there's something in the negative side that you're experiencing. You will always, if you're willing to accept it, be comfortable with what is happening. Does it mean it's going to feel good? No, but you can be comfortable with those negative emotions that you are experiencing. And accepting is that secret to withstanding all of your storms and dancing in all of your rain and really loving those sunshiny days, metaphorically speaking, of course. So, on a personal note, I remember this is, oh my gosh, maybe 10 years ago now. I think it was 10 years ago. That's crazy. My dad died. And I was talking with one of my relatives, and I remember her saying, like, it just hurts. And I don't want it to hurt so much. He shouldn't have died. This just isn't fair, right? He was too young, all of those things. And can you hear the resisting in that? Did he die young? 100%. Did he need to die from what he had? And could there have been something done differently so that he lived through that? No, he shouldn't have, honestly. And yes, something could have been done to prevent it. It probably wasn't necessary, but he did. And no matter how upset about how it all happened, no matter how much resistance we have to that, he died. He's gone. And that isn't going to change. And no matter who you are, if you can imagine yourself and losing somebody close to you, you do want to hurt, right? Because there's a big loss there. And you do want to be sad because they're gone. But nothing's gone wrong. It's just that a negative circumstance in life happened. We lost someone so very dear to us. And we all would have loved, of course, for him to be around longer. That's the case no matter when you lose somebody that you love. You always wish that they could be there longer. But we want to feel shitty about him being gone. And we want to experience our loss and our grief, all of it. And so accepting that he's gone and then willing to feel those hard emotions, it's all part of it. And it was hard. And I wanted it to be hard. He was my dad and he's not here and he's gone. And life was different now that he's gone. And there's so much that he's going to miss in my life moving forward. And that's incredibly heartbreaking. And I want it to be heartbreaking, right? I still tear up. He never met my kids. I never got to see him as a grandparent. And I still tear up thinking about that. But I want to because that's sad, right? I don't want to resist that. I don't want to hide that. I want to let that flow through me. And I can choose other emotions to feel about it as well. He would be so proud of his grandkids and he would be so proud of seeing me as a mom. And so I want to pick those and feel those and experience those. But what if you don't? What if you resist whatever these negative things are until the day you die? I mean, to the extreme. Well, I'm watching some of my family do that. So it's been a decade and they're still resisting what happened. They're still hiding from their shitty emotions and they're hiding from them in food and in alcohol. And the result of that is that they're not open to experience the awesome things that are happening in the world now. So they're robbing themselves of the joy that they can be experiencing now. And the truth is that you can have both of those things. You can still experience the joy and still accept the hard. And they flip back and forth. And the longer, you have a hard situation, the further away you are from it, the easier it gets to feel those emotions. And they don't feel as raw and they don't feel as hard. But being willing to feel them allows you to be open to feel the joyous, glorious unicorn, rainbows, sunshines, and daisies that are happening because life is 50-50. And so every circumstance comes with emotions that you can choose and accept. Hard and glorious. And being willing to experience them all allows you to experience them all, the good ones too. So I want to ask you this. Do you need to change your expectations? Do you deep down really believe that life should be happy all the time? And if so, is that a belief that you can uproot, get out of there, and replace? Is it possible that you need to stop resisting that there's a darker side of life so that you can experience to the full extent and love the light side? Question for you. So while you think about that, let me tell you about Mark. So Mark is a client that I had, and he came to me because he was failing to be happy all the time. That's the best way that I can put it. And my friends, I actually see this a lot. On paper, a client's life is great, and yet they don't feel great. They don't love it. They don't think that it's amazing, right? They just want to be happy. I hear that all the time. I just want to feel better. And there's lots of reasons for that. And there's lots of things that I work through with them. But one of them often is this expectation that they hold that they should be happy all the time. And so they have a good life, they should feel good on the daily basis, right? And Mark had that same expectation. He really thought that life should be mostly a big majority positive. So we started working together, figured out that this definitely was a deep seated belief that he had this expectation. So every time something negative happened, he thought something was going wrong, right? He just resisted it to the max. And so we worked on embracing this 50-50 concept. And it was amazing to watch him start to see negative experiences as opportunities for growth and opportunities to be motivated towards the positive. And so he worked on feeling all of those really tough emotions instead of resisting them, accepting circumstances as they were, and even appreciate them and use them in a way that served him. And what I loved is that allowed him to see the good times even sweeter. So you could see the results in him just in the way he carried himself, in how he could like toss out worry because he was constantly, thinking that the next other shoe was going to drop. Is that the saying? So he was constantly worried about that, almost had resentment for these negative experiences. And so in allowing him to just drop all of that, you could just see it and hear it, his ability to soak in all of the circumstances, have all of them serve him, and it was astounding to watch. So, in his words, he said, life is actually better with the contrast. It makes those sweeter moments even better. I love that. Mark, thank you for being willing to let me share this. And I couldn't agree with you more. You are spot on. So, here's a mind blowing idea for all of you out there. Negative experiences don't have to be stressful or full of terrible feelings. They just don't. When you stop resisting those experiences and start accepting them, they lose a lot of their power. And that's what happens when you resist negative circumstances or negative emotions is you are giving all of your power to them. So when you stop that, you gain your power back and they lose their power. And think of it like this. So life is like a coin and you can't have one side without the other side. The negative experience gives depth and meaning to the positive experiences. The founder of analytical psychology, love this guy. His name's Carl Jung. And he said, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. And the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. And this is so true. We have to have that contrast. That's what we signed up for in life. And that contrast is what allows those bright moments to be so bright to their full potential. And learning from those dark moments allows us to experience to an even greater degree those bright moments. So thank you, Carl Jung. Here's some things that I would like you to do if this is something that you think that you struggle with. One, change your expectation. So understand and accept that life is 50-50. And it doesn't mean that you're going to strive for positivity, but rather that you aren't expecting everything to be perfect, that you are expecting the hard and the good, that you are expecting the bad and the great, that you are expecting the dark and the light. You're expecting those. So when they come up, you don't automatically feel and resist it because you don't think that something's gone wrong. The second thing is to practice mindfulness. And I know this comes up a lot, but this is huge. So when negative emotions arise, acknowledge them without judgment. Instead of saying, I shouldn't be feeling this way, I don't want to feel this way, just accept them and really dive into how that feels in your body. Just let it feel. Are you short of breath? Is it heavy in your shoulders? Do you feel tight? It's just an emotion. Let it flow through your body without trying to push it away. And then finally, I would offer that you have the power to reframe the negative. And I'm not talking about turning negatives into positives. I'm not even talking about looking for silver linings. I am talking about in every negative experience, you have a growth opportunity. You have the opportunity to be resilient. So, how can a negative experience make you stronger or wiser? And looking for those opportunities in your negative experiences will help you turn them into ones that serve you. Notice I'm not saying that you're transforming them into positive experiences, but you'll allow those negative experiences to serve you. So they're going to work for you instead of resisting and them working against you. So if you can do those three things, work on changing your expectation, be mindful about those emotions that you have and allow them to flow through you, and then look at those negative experiences and see if there's a way that you can reframe them, that will go a long way towards you helping use this 50-50 concept to serve your life. All right, so I have another story about a different client. Her name's Lisa. Love Lisa. Again, Lisa, thank you for letting me share about you. So she struggled at work, and her career, she felt like it was really just up and down and up and down. It was like a roller coaster. She always felt that she should be happy and successful in work like all the time, right? And wouldn't that be great? Not life though, 50-50. So we worked on reframing her mindset and embracing again that 50-50 concept. And she started to see any setbacks at work as necessary steps in her journey. She started to see those obstacles as the stepping stones to get to where she wanted to go. And seeing it that way, instead of seeing it as a halt or something that shouldn't be happening or resisting it, that allowed her to handle it with more grace and with less stress. Her stress was beyond belief. Like it was causing her literally physical ailment. And so we had to address this. So she realized that the lows made her appreciate the highs even more. Those stepping stones, those obstacles made her appreciate getting to whatever goal she was going towards even more. And this is a woman who was ready to quit her job, right? Like she loved so much of the job. She loved what she did. She loved a lot of the people there, but the struggle came with a few processes that were incredibly frustrating and she was resisting to the max. And a few people that she felt should be behaving differently and doing things differently. And that led to this roller coaster of loving, hating. And that is stressful, right? So the stress that she chose to carry, notice how I say that, was immense and so heavy. And I watched as she put in this work and she completely transformed her expectations at work. And there was a lot of other things that we were working with too, but how she viewed just the negative situations allowed her to let that stress melt away and take the emotion piece out of it and truly enjoy her company and what she does and the difficult circumstances that came with it. So she was on fire and I love it, like empowered and motivated. And it was such an honor to see this transformation because, like I said, it was physically ailing her before, the amount of stress that she was allowing it to cause in her life. And my friends, if that's you with work or with a relationship or with life or with money, that transformation can be yours as well. It all starts with resetting the expectation that it's going to be perfect all the time and understanding instead that it's going to be 50-50. That's just the beginning, but that's a very important first step. So here's one action item for you this week. I would love for you, if you want to put this into effect, to spend just a few minutes each day reflecting on your experiences. So, even if all you do is write down one negative and one positive experience from your day. So, for the negative, maybe note what you learned from it or how it can serve you, how it can help you grow. And for both of them, I want you to write down the emotions that you experienced with them. So, both for that positive experience and the negative experience, and almost allow yourself to feel them again and just be mindful of them and let them flow through you, knowing you can experience any emotion. And we'll dive deeper again in the future for that. But for now, just accept them and being willing to feel them is huge. All of them, good and bad. This practice, this daily checking out the positive, the negative, the emotions, that will help you to embrace the full spectrum of life, the 50 and the 50, and really appreciate that balance. Because remember that life is beautifully complex. Its design is amazing, but it's designed to be dark and light. It's that combination of the highs and the lows that makes it more meaningful. It's that contrast that makes it so sweet. And by changing your expectations and embracing that 50-50 concept, you can lead a more balanced and fulfilling life without that danger of thinking that things went wrong when they're not perfect. So, hopefully that was helpful to you this week. Thank you for tuning in to Becoming Tantalum. If you found this episode helpful, then please share it with somebody that might need a little change in their perspective. And don't forget to subscribe. And hey, if you listen all the time and you haven't left a review yet and you love it, please take a few minutes to do that, because what that does is it allows this to get out to even more people who can then transform their lives as well. So until next time, Keep embracing life's full spectrum, all of the 50 and the other 50, so that you can be experiencing life in the 100% glory, not glorious, that it has. You've got this, my friend. If you need help, as always, reach out. Until next week, bye. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to take all of these concepts and tools to a deeper level, apply them to your life, and watch the transformation happen, I would love for you to join the Tantalum Tribe. That's a monthly membership where all of our community has access to live coaching, self-paced courses, guest coaches, podcast study guides, anonymous question boards, and more. You too can transform your life using the tools and strategies that we have, with accountability built in from our community. I really hope that you join us at tantalumcoaching.com. That's TANTALUM coaching.com. Just click join the tribe. I can't wait to see you in there.
An ironic media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.